We've learned how to find inverse relations from a set of points or a table, and then we've learned how to find inverse relations from a graph. What do we do if we got an inverse relation that is given to us as a function? So our first one is f of x equals 4x minus 8. And of course, we know that f of x and y are ways of writing the same thing. So when we have something like this, we can rewrite it as y equals 4x minus 8. And that's important because we've learned that an inverse means switch x and y. So to find the inverse of a function, the first thing that we want to do is switch x and y. So instead of y equals 4x minus 8, we're going to do x equals 4y minus 8. And now our goal is to solve this for y so that it's y equals again. That's pretty easy. We'll add 8 on both sides. This is the addition property of equality. Okay, so over on the left side, we will have x plus 8, and on the right side, we will have 4y. And then the last thing we'll do is divide by 4. There are two ways that we can write this. We can divide the entire side by 4, like that, or you can do each individual thing divided by 4. We can do x divided by 4 and 8 divided by 4. It doesn't matter. They both have the same result. X divided by 4 is going to be, well, let's write our property first. Division property of equality. X divided by 4 is 1/4 x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 4y divided by 4 is y. So there it is. There's our inverse function. Okay, let's go ahead and do it with this next one. F of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 11. First thing we do, replace the f of x with y. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 11. And then the definition of inverse is switching the x and the y. So to write the inverse equation, we first switch x and y. So instead of y equals, it's x equals. And instead of negative 1/2 x, it's negative 1/2 y plus 11. And now we solve it for y. So we'll start off with the subtraction property of equality, subtracting 11 on both sides. Okay, subtraction property of equality. So we've got x minus 11 equals negative 1/2 y. And then there are two different ways that we can get rid of the negative 1/2. We can divide both sides by negative 1/2. That's fine. Or what I think is maybe a little easier to do is to multiply both sides by negative 2. Multiply by the reciprocal. I think that's a little easier to do without a calculator at least. So we're going to use the multiplication property of equality. We have to use the distributive property here, negative 2 times x and negative 2 times negative 11 plus 22. And then negative 1/2 y times negative 2 is just y. And there's our inverse function. So to find an inverse function when you're given the equation, we want to, let's go ahead and write our steps down here. We first replace f of x with y. Then we swap x and y. And then our third step is solve for y. Those are the three things you do. You don't always have to do that first step because sometimes it's not written with f of x. Sometimes it's already written y equals, and then you start with step 2. But once it has y and x in the equation, you switch the x and y and then solve for y.